Warning, MF Uncensored contains adult language and discussion. Listener discretion is advised.
We're a couple of misfits. We're a couple of misfits. What's the matter with misfits? That's where we fit in. We're not Duffy and Dilly. Don't go around willy-nilly. Seems to us that
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to MF Uncensored. If you guys are listening to us on the go, you can find us on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, basically anywhere you get your podcasts. You guys can also find more of our content on our website, themisfitfaction.com. There you'll find links to all of our other shows, not only MF Uncensored, but also the Multiverse Fancast and Cinematic Adventures. As always, I'm one of your hosts, Paul, just doing the intro for you guys today. We have an awesome show planned for you guys. You get a chance to hear from both me and Ronnie from the Multiverse Fancast and co-founder of the Misfit Faction, and we are interviewing Mr. Todd Showalter today. Todd is a cartoonist and a podcast host of a podcast called The Right Mind Podcast. Todd was a fantastic interview, a little bit different than what we're used to, and definitely had an acquired taste. He was a lot of fun, though, and definitely brought a lot of fun perspective to our show, and was just a lot of interesting I don't want to give everything away, but it was a very interesting interview. Before we get started, though, I just want to remind you guys that if you are looking to start your own podcast, maybe you guys have been listening to us for a few years or a few months, or you just have always been curious about starting your own show and not sure how to do it, first and foremost, message us and let us know. We would love to help you get started, and we're always looking for new content for our show, The Misfit Faction, our network, The Misfit Faction, or our show, MF Uncensored. So if you guys are looking to start your own show and you want to get started the right way, go to podbean.com/misfitfaction. There you'll get a month of free podcasting on us. That is a thank you from us to you guys, because we love you guys and we always are very grateful for the support that we get from our listeners. Or maybe you're a small business owner or own some service that you want to provide advertisements for and want people to learn about. Podcasts are everywhere nowadays, guys. There are so many of them out there. So if you guys want to do some advertising on podcasts, you can go to sponsorship.podbean.com/misfitfaction. There you get $100 of free advertising. Again, that's a thank you from us to you guys. And I cannot start an episode without talking about Raise Energy. Guys, we have been using Raise Energy here at the studio for months now. We are big fans of it, big supporters of it, and we want to share it with you guys. So if you guys are looking for that afternoon pick-me-up or looking for something to get you through that tough workout, Raise Energy is the way to go. So if you go to Rep Sports, that's REPPsports.com, and use the code MISFIT88 at checkout, you will get 10% off as a thank you from us. Again, that's Rep Sports and Raise Energy. And with all that being said, on with the show. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to MF Uncensored. If you guys are listening to us on the go, you can find us on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and basically anywhere you get your podcast. As always, I'm one of your hosts, Paul. With me in the studio today is Ronnie. Ronnie, how are you today?
I'm doing well, sir. How about you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. Thanks for being here.
Of course.
Maybe, don't get pulled over the next time you're on your way here, and, things will be a little bit better.
Yeah, maybe.
But we're super excited. We have a guest in the studio today, Mr. Todd Showalter. Todd, how are you today?
Hey, I'm doing great. It's a little cold here, but, I'm surviving.
Now, if memory serves correct, you're in St. Louis?
Yeah, St. Louis, dodging bullets and hail and snow and everything else that is thrown at you here in the wonderful city in the middle of the country.
Well, don't worry. We're in New York, where the city is like one thing and then the state's another thing, and it's just crazy all around. So we get it.
Oh, yeah, I understand that. Yes, from what I've heard. Yeah,
it is always an adventure. It's never dull, I guess, is the best way. And whenever we tell people we're from New York, they're like, oh, the city, right? We're like, no.
What part of it? What, are you guys in upstate or something, like Buffalo or something?
No, we're in the Hudson Valley, so it's literally like an hour north of the city.
I've got you.
Yeah.
I got you. All right. Okay.
So
I still don't know where that is.
Oh,
but
no one does. No one does. So.
Oh, I got you. Yeah.
They always ask, how close are you to the city? An hour train ride. That's what we always say. We're an hour away.
Gotcha. All right. Well, good.
Yeah. So
you're safe.
Safe-ish. Yeah. Safe-ish. Safe enough. But so Todd is a podcast host. He also does some work with animation. Todd, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, yeah, I've got an animation and cartoon studio. I've been a cartoonist for over 30 years. And now since then I moved, back in 93, actually, I moved into animation. And I've got a bunch of comic series. I've got a lot of animated series, you name it. My site is studiotodd.com. But yeah, I mean, I've got some, we do everything from television to commercials to you name it. And then I've got a lot of editorial work and comic strips and things like that I do. But then, like you mentioned, I also have the podcast, Right Mind, which is kind of an exploratory show that we try to find the common sense in all this crazy bullshit world that we're living in right now. So yeah, it's interesting. I'm not bored.
Who wants to be bored nowadays, especially when there's so much to talk about these days?
Oh my God, yeah.
Like
it's
you
crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, go ahead,
No, I'm saying it's nuts, and then every day, I mean, there's something else coming out, and something else to be terrified of. I was saying, and I don't mean this in a mean way, but just the common sense aspect and the illogical aspect of it. I just never realized that many people just really weren't that bright. I mean, a lot of stuff just doesn't add up.
No, we're with you, and one of the things about our show is we like to kind of tell things how they are and not sugarcoat things. We live in a world where everybody wants to be coddled a little bit to a point, and you can't even turn on the news nowadays without seeing just all the bad, all the negative, all the bullshit. So it's nice to talk to somebody who's their show's kind of an example of that.
Yes.
Right. So.
It's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. And the thing is, I try to be objective, especially on my show. I take, people say right mind. I must be, ultra conservative. Well, actually, no. I'm going for, when I say right mind, like in your right mind. Like we deal with so many people on the left, the right, regardless of where you stand politically, that. We have these narratives that are just coming out by the media, politics, you name it, and we have there's so many actually, people that I considered intelligent that are just buying into this narrative, and people say, well, they're brainwashed. Well, I think it's beyond brainwashed. They're like, almost like lobotomies that are being mailed in or something. It's unbelievable. It really is. And so until we get kicked off, I mean, we try to cut through all the BS and, see where people actually really lie on things and what the truth and what they, rather than hear what the media is telling us, we hear it straight from the horse's mouth.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Love it. So for you, how did you get your podcast actually started? Like where did you just wake up one day and you were like, you know what? People need to know what I want to say.
It was a fortune cookie. I opened a fortune cookie and they said you should start a podcast. No. It was
That's
actually
how it all starts for everyone.
Here's the thing. It's really kind of crazy. I'm sure you guys are on Facebook and all the other social media stuff. And I've just never, I don't know, my life or just what's going on, where I just, if there's something on my mind, I'm not going to, do any, real bad damage. I mean, I say what's on my mind. Okay. Right. And I'm not afraid to. And now you have people that you mentioned coddled. You have people that are afraid to speak out. They're something's going to happen, or I'll lose my job, or my neighbor won't like me. Well, you know what? We are so careful now that everything has become vanilla. Okay, everything has just become totally vanilla. That's why sitcom TV is boring. That's why we're afraid to offend anybody. Okay, and we're afraid, by being afraid to offend someone, we're not speaking the truth. And so what happened, to get to your question, I had people all the time that were saying, hey, will you post this for me on Facebook? Will you say this for me? Because if I do this, my cat's going to get mad at me, or something ridiculous. And so I'm basically being like the liaison for their opinions. I thought, this is crazy. And so I thought, what if we had a platform where these people could come on, whether, showing their face or not, we could take real topics. I mean, real, stuff that everybody wants to say or wants to know about, and take it into a podcast medium where we could actually discuss it and really see what people think about this stuff. Because, you'd be surprised, these stories you get from CNN, Fox, whatnot, that's just basically what they want you to hear, when the actual people that are involved in these stories don't particularly even think that way. And so I was getting all this feedback from social media, and I thought, well, let's make a show about it. And so I did, and we launched last April, so it's not very old. It's still in the infancy stage. I mean, we don't have a lot of followers, or subscribers, I should say, on YouTube, where our followers and our downloads are getting up there at this point. But that's how it all started. We just, I just wanted something where these people could actually, we could actually, to maybe more people, get these questions answered. So
Do you find yourself on your show though having to? Do you argue with people? Like, what's the kind of?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, all the time. Because, and that's just it. That is what that's how we get places. Okay, if we all agreed with each other, if we were all the same, if everything was equal, if everything was just flat and the same, it would be the most boring world that we believe in, or live in rather. So what I mean, a lot of times, you know, we go right for the story. I mean, we try to bring open and put in the open what people are actually thinking about, but afraid to talk about. So I mean, we've discussed critical race theory, we've discussed defunding the police. I had a transgender on just 2 weeks ago. You know, anything that's topical. That people have an opinion about, but they're like, oh, I want to sugarcoat that, or I want to tiptoe around that. I try, and it's not shock. It's not like shock radio. We try to get to the core of what people actually think, what they actually believe, without all the narrative, without all the sizzle and all the stuff to make you feel a certain way. And you know what? And I'll tell you what, there's a lot of stuff that I didn't agree with, that I was against, that when I had guests on my show who would just explain it to me from their point of view, I changed my mind about things. And it wasn't because the narrative of CNN or somebody else said, oh, you've got to feel this way. No, I heard it from the source. And as a result, I thought, well, I never knew that. Okay. And so that's what I try to do. I try to bring on people that, you know, in areas that, you know, are in the news, but everybody's got their divided opinion about, and just say, hey, look, can we just talk about this?
Right.
I mean, what's the common sense, you know, what is the real thought about this? I mean, what are we really thinking without being told what to think?
So, you know, it's funny you say that, because nowadays it's very easy for people when they have a discussion, and I use discussion with quotes, because nowadays it's just who's going to be louder about it. But I like to hear that, you know, you had experiences where you had an opinion about one thing, and then you just talk to somebody and you can change your opinion. And it doesn't have to be so set in stone. You know, like most political parties nowadays, it's either this way or this way, and there's no in between. So it's nice to hear somebody who's like, hey, not only did I talk to someone of a different opinion, but they also, like, I learned something and I changed mine. It's great to hear. Can you give me an example of one of the times, an interview that you did that changed your mindset on something?
Yeah, just like I said a couple of weeks ago. Okay, we had this thing with the transgender situation, and you know, you all heard about the swimmer. I think she was at Princeton or something like that,
Yes.
where the person that it was now female, but it was a male, and anyway, it was on the women's swimming team, and broke all the records. You know, now as a woman who had previously a year later been a guy, and to make a long story short, I had a transgender who's now a female, and I gotta say, I thought, I've never really understood it. I've always thought, well, these are people that just wake up and say, well, you know, I'm gonna be a woman today, and that's why I'm gonna put on high heels, and it's all gonna be great, and everybody's gonna just, you know, accept me for who I am. All right, and I was just really kind of in that. Yeah, that's the narrative and stuff. You know, that I'd heard. Well, she now, you know, until now I would have said he, but you know, she explained how from birth, how there's certain biological things that, you know, she was born with that were actually proven science-wise. And you know, that there were a lot of things that went into it that made her, you know, she never identified as a male. And, you know, so you can see that in a way. But the thing that struck me the most and really hit hard is she at this point would say there wasn't a day as a child, even later, that she would just wake up and say, you know, I wish I could just be normal. I wish I could just, you know, why is this happening? Why can't I just be like the other guys and stuff like that? So nobody really, and so it affected me. I thought, wow, this is a person that really has had a hard life, that's really suffered with a lot of things. I still don't agree with the biological competition with sports and things like that. But until then, I thought, you know, I was just treating it like everybody else. Well, these people are, you know, weird. You know, they want to, you know, dress up like, you know, women, or vice versa. But you know, there are a lot of things that just really, yeah, it made me think. And I thought, you know, there's something like, just like you're born with any other situation or in a certain way, you look at the biology. So yeah, I'm not out there banging a drum for transgenders, but at the same time, you know, it made me understand where they're coming from and what the reason that why they do what they do and why this all happens. So that's just one example. I mean, there's been stuff on critical race theory. Like I said, there's been stuff on liberal politics that I don't agree with. That they explained a few things. Now, they haven't changed my mind, but at least I can understand it. And that's just it. We don't have to agree. Even if you and I don't agree on something, there's nothing wrong with that. If you say, hey, Todd, I don't agree with you, and this is why, and I say, well, that's okay, I don't agree with you, and this is why, we can both walk away and have different opinions. And that's fine. We don't have to agree. And that's what it's all about. Because again, like I said before, if we agreed on absolutely everything, we'd all eat the same food in the restaurants. We'd all watch the same TV show. We'd all be talking the same language. We'd all be wearing the same clothes. I mean, what is that? No, I mean, God put us here to be different people. This is what we're supposed to be. We're all different. And we all should be respected as such. And, so that's what I try to get to the heart. I mean, again, if you don't agree, fine. But here's why I don't agree. You tell me why you don't agree. We'll shake hands and we'll go about our business.
Yeah, I mean, one of the first lessons you learn as a kid is that you don't have to be friends with everyone. But I think it's important that everybody should have a modicum of respect for each other until they do something that warrants, I don't respect you anymore. And to hear somebody, obviously talk about, different things that they may not agree with, but at the same time being respectful about it is admirable. It really is, especially nowadays where everybody's so used to, I can go on Facebook right now and tell everybody my thoughts, and if somebody disagrees with me, I'm just going to have them banned on Facebook. There's this very low sense of accountability hiding behind the internet. So,
well, they're cowards. They're cowards,
right?
And that's what it is. Yeah, because you can go out there, and it's just like anybody. It's like email or anything else. I mean, you can be real tough on social media, and you can be real tough on email. But you sit down with somebody face to face, and let's have the same conversation. A lot of times, that's not going to happen. And so, no, I agree with you. I mean, it opens the door for a lot of bullies, a lot of people that are losers that just or hate their lives, and so they're going to vent. And and so that's why I take all that crap with a grain of salt most of the time. But yeah, I totally agree with you. And that even goes back, and it's your show. I don't want to hog it, but I'm just saying
you're the guest. Go for it.
You go back. That's why we have all these partisan politics. Okay, I mean the thing is, back in the day, you'd have. Even if you didn't agree, their job as politicians is to represent us and get the job done. We don't want all this infighting where, we're looking at a sporting event like the Republicans against the Democrats and who's going to win today. And now it's become like a reality TV show. No, we are such a dysfunctional country right now. Everybody is so divided, and the politicians are basically pawns, little children that are out there just fighting against each other for their own cause, not helping their constituents or us in any which way are possible. And the ones that are supporting this, the ones that are fueling this fire is the mass media, is the media. They love it because this is all ratings, okay? They don't care if you're on the right, the left, the Democrat, or Republican. As long as everybody is fighting, and everybody's divided, we got a story. If it bleeds, it leads, and that's what they go with. And I'll tell you an interesting story that somebody else brought up on my show way back. It's like that there's a jar, okay? And if you put red ants, you may have heard this, red ants, fire ants, and black ants in a jar together, okay, they will coexist. They will get along. They'll be fine, believe it or not. But if you pick that jar up and you start shaking it and you disrupt it, they fight like hell until they're dead. Okay, now the media is basically shaking our jar. Okay, they love this disruption because as soon as we start getting along, as soon as we start cooperating, as soon as we all start working together as a country and unified, they're done. They're done. The politicians have no control anymore. The media has nothing to scare you with anymore. So this is the agenda. This is what they want. They want to stir you up. They want to cause disruption. And that's what sells. And you have people living in a state of hysterical fear for the benefit of a few people that are profiting off of it, that are getting notoriety off of it. And that is wrong. And until people wake up and see this is totally illogical and none of this makes sense, it's just going to keep going on. It's like never standing up to the bully.
Yeah, the bully's sitting right next to me. He's he's just watching me try and host this whole thing, and he's just sitting there quietly.
Yeah, no, but I do agree with what you're saying because a lot of politicians are in the game for the money, Sure. So their thing is what can we do to keep making profit? And sometimes with that comes like you said, creating fear and creating, this tension between two sides, when in reality, there is no tension between the two sides. You get one little blip that happens, and then the media blows it out of proportion, and politicians back it up to create even more fear and hysteria.
That's exactly what they do. That's exactly what they do. That's what sells. Okay, and I mean, there are so many examples of that, and there are so many. I mean, what are we? This is like some type of dysfunctional sporting event. I mean, we're sitting here watching these people destroy each other and rip each other down. And it's like, I don't know. I mean, I was fortunate enough to grow up in a family that my parents were together, but for the kids that go through a divorce, this is, from what I understand, this is like being a kid with a divorce. Okay, you guys, it's like it's
both
okay.
of us sitting here.
Well, it's like kids in the middle of a divorce. You've got these parents that are fighting and stuff, and then you've got these kids that are traumatized. That's what in the hell this whole country is. We've got the Democrats and the Republicans that are these parents that are basically going through a horrible divorce, and we are the children that are suffering for it. Okay, but instead, in a divorce, you don't have somebody in there like amplifying it and putting it on the media and on your television all the time for ratings. Okay, but we are the children that are being traumatized by this bullshit that they are all putting out, and the fear and anything that they can do. And don't even get me going on the COVID thing. Okay, I mean the fear that everything is being put out. I mean,
yeah.
And they've got people that are now buying it. And, and you think people say, well, we got to do this now because, when it's finally over. I got to tell you, friends, they're loving this. Why would they stop? Why would they stop when they've got such a lead right now? Mm-hmm. They got control. They've got everybody afraid. Why would they just say, okay, it's all over. It's all over. It's just the flu. Let's just move on our way. No. Why would they do that? Mm-hmm. They've got these people by the necks. And they're not going to let go. And until everybody says, nah, I'm sorry, that's enough, it's going to keep going.
Yeah. It's funny you said that because, like, Ronnie and I sitting here, we have plenty of things that we agree on and then plenty of things that we disagree on. He's a little bit more right.
Yep.
I have things that I'm a little bit more left about, but mostly I'm also pretty right myself. But it's interesting because nowadays, it's like you said, the world has turned into this side versus this side, and we're all just watching, and we're all just it's like reality TV. When reality TV became the biggest thing, we all were just like enamored by it because it was like this giant like fabrication of the world. It's like this exaggeration of these mundane things. So it's really nice to talk to somebody who's like, I'm not a Republican, I'm not a Democrat, I'm just a guy trying to get people to see this is what's really happening, not just what you're being shown.
Well, and it goes down to, again, it comes down to common sense, mm-hmm. and it comes down to logic. I mean, it doesn't matter what your beliefs are or what when it comes to running a country or would you guys say, if I were having a heart attack, okay, and somebody came in and said, hi, I'm the best cardiologist in the world, and by the way, I love Bernie Sanders. I wouldn't go, well, I hate Bernie Sanders, let me die. No, if this guy was the best, I'd say, great, I'm thankful that you're here. Take care of me. Yep. I don't give a damn about somebody's opinion. I mean, instead, so we take these things that are people's opinions, what are just that? They're opinions. They're like assholes. Everybody has one. Okay. And so you take these people with their opinions that we bring into practical situations that they shouldn't be in. I mean, mm-hmm. Again, if you are the best at something, again, and that even goes with as far as different ethnic groups, things like that. I mean, in my animation business, okay, I have women, I have different nationalities that work for me. I have guys, I have, every type, it's all represented. And you know what? Half of these people I have never even met. Half of these people, I don't even know what they think. But you know what? I look at their portfolio. I look at their work. I listen to how they speak. I listen to, if they're professional or not. And that's where I leave it. I don't care what they look like. I don't care what they believe. I don't care what their background is. I want to work with these people for their talent and who they are.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You can't do it. But now, you look at now, you have other people. Well, I had a guy. Let me give you a quick situation.
Yeah.
Okay, another animation guy. He's actually a semi-popular animation writer. Okay, and I was just basically, I had a lead for him. I said, I know somebody that's hiring some writers, and would you be interested? I want to put you in touch. I was doing this guy a favor.
Right.
Okay, and he sends a note back to me. Do you know what my thoughts are on social media? I go, no, I don't even know what you're talking about. I'm talking about it like a writing gig here. He goes, I looked at your post on social media, and I never want to be associated with you again.
Wow.
Ever. Okay, now this had nothing to do with writing. This had nothing to do with animation. I make jokes. I make jokes about stuff. I did stand up at one point. That's another story I won't go into. But I make jokes. And this guy was offended by you're just boorish and you make fun and sarcastic about things. I never want to speak with you again. So based on the fact that I make sarcastic jokes about anything, he decided he lost a writing opportunity. He didn't want it because I was associated with it. And I thought, what in the hell kind of mentality is that? And then I'm thinking, this is why Hollywood sucks. Yeah. I mean, I was, I know the whole Hollywood system. I lived in LA. I did all that, and now, if you don't believe a certain way, you don't work. Mm-hmm. What kind of crap is that? I mean, what does our world come to? You can only do this if you think this way. Well, that is bullshit. I mean, who? I mean, that is bringing the level of talent down so low to the fact that if you're only working with your own kind, your own people, and then they're all out there saying, oh, we believe in equality. Bullshit. You're basically segregating everybody unless they're just like you. Mm-hmm. I mean, it makes no sense. But that's where we are right now. And it goes back again to the narratives and who is pushing this narrative. The mass media. It's like it's really up to guys like us, girls like us, whatever we are, Eskimos, cats, whatever, that have shows like us, that can, say the truth and what it really is until we're shut down. Because, this is the only truth that's left.
Right. Yes. And you know what? It's great that you say that, because that's what a podcast should be. It's completely, it's our opinion. It's us sitting down. And like you said during, when you were speaking, you were like, well, I don't want to take away from your show. Hell, we love it, man. Like when we have guests on, we love to hear their stories. Like that's what this show is. It's listening to people's stories and telling stories and hearing different perspectives. Like, literally 2 hours ago, we had a gentleman on, and he was an openly gay man, and he was telling his stories about being a victim of a hate crime. And now we're, talking to you. Like, that's the whole point of our show is we get a little bit of everything from everywhere. And, some people may like it, some people may not, but you also have the benefit. You don't have to listen.
Yeah.
You're exactly right. I mean, again, that brings up the old restaurant analogy type thing. You go into a restaurant. I mean, you go into a restaurant. What's your favorite food? Okay, it's like, just give me an example. Okay,
cheeseburger.
Cheeseburger. Okay, okay. Well, you know what? I'm not, but let's say I'm a vegan. Okay, not that I am. And I don't. And rather than me not ordering a cheeseburger, I'm going to say, hey, I don't want these guys to have a cheeseburger, okay? You ought to take cheeseburgers off the menu because that offends me, okay? It's just, and that's what we're doing with everyday things right now.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
Just because you don't like something, or I don't like something, or you don't think a certain way, or I don't think a certain way, then no, we're just going to cancel it. If you don't agree with me, I'm going to have you canceled. If I don't like your cheeseburger, we're just going to take it off the menu. And now nobody gets a cheeseburger. Now nobody gets to think the way you do.
Right.
What is that? Who in the hell came up with this crap? I mean, how brain dead do you have to be?
Yeah. Unfortunately, in this day and age where a simple tweet about someone can ruin a career, like, we do a show where we talk about some controversial topics. All it takes is for somebody to be like, well, he hates these certain kind of people. And then suddenly I'm like, well, I need a new job because I just got fired for this.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. And it's great to talk to somebody who kind of sees that in a different perspective. So we're running a little low on time. I just, my favorite last question to ask any interviewee is, what's next? What are your goals, your plans for the rest of the year?
Oh well, I'm going to run for office. No, I can't.
You got our
No, no.
vote though. I think solid.
Well, the rest of the year, I've got a couple of shows. We're actually working on an animated series called The Magic of Shurkan. I've got another comedy series called Mafia Mom about this little old lady that lives in a nursing home, but she pays the bills by working for the mob and being a hit woman. So that kids story. So we've got that going. But then as far as the show, yeah, I'm looking to bring on a variety of guests, and we do some entertainment stuff too. We had Larry Hankin on just a couple weeks ago.
Larry, we had him on too. He's a fucking riot.
Oh, you had him on? Isn't he awesome?
Yeah, he's
awesome?
the best. He really is.
Oh, and so it's fun. I try to mix it up a little bit so that people just don't jump off a bridge after listening to my show. But so I really want to boost that, and I'd like to get more people involved. But yeah, it's just to kind of keep the ball rolling, and again, it's just trudging through all of this. You got to be tough. And you talk about being canceled. And you're worried about somebody canceling you. You got to stand up to the bully. I do editorial cartoons. People say, I'll tell you, so going way back, I've gotten death threats. And the thing is, it's, unless you're willing to stand up to these bullies, they're not going to stop. And so, I'm just going to keep moving forward and, trying to keep pushing the truth or whatever my opinion is. And not only that, accepting somebody else's opinion, even if I don't agree with it.
That's awesome. Well, Todd, you are always welcome on this show. You will always have a spot if you ever want it. If you ever have a new thing coming out and you want to talk about it, you shoot me an email anytime. Like this was a blast, and I'm sorry that we're a little low on time because I'm pretty sure we could sit here for another hour and a half just bullshitting at this point.
Yeah. Well, so I do this with my wife, and she goes shopping. She says, "I can't take anymore." Are you still talking?
Isn't marriage a beautiful? So I'm newly married.
She's patient. Oh, you're newly married. Well, congratulations.
Thank you. About a year now, and Ronnie's engaged over here. He's getting married in April.
2 months.
In 2 months. In March.
Congratulations.
I'm the worst best man ever.
Yeah.
When's the my sister?
Oh, you guys have best man, so you guys are close. Okay.
Yeah. In fact, Ronnie even got ordained to marry us during our COVID wedding. So he married.
Was it the Universal Life Church in Modesto, California?
No, it was the Stop I'm Gonna Not Touch You church. Yeah. But literally ordained in the parking lot because we had, and that's a whole other story.
Yeah, the Universal Life Church. Yep.
I did that too. And you get to choose. You get what you want to be. You can be a reverend, or you can be a Wiccan. You can be anything you want. And so I thought it'd be cool. I'm going to do it again and be a Wiccan. I don't know what that does.
I love it. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Well, thank you, Todd, for being on. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you. I really enjoyed it.
You have a good rest of your day. All right.
Hey, you too. Take care, guys.
Take care. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Man, what a show. That was just a blast. I'm really upset that we only had a half hour.
Oh yeah, like you said, definitely could have easily gone another hour at least with him on the show and everything.